organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
Casting spells and passing laws. What these two things could possibly have in common. Next.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but you make it work because this is our passion and this is what we want to do.
And in sports,
Iowa baseball opens its Big Ten season here in Iowa City at Dwayne Banks Field.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Katie Sextra.
And I'm Cole Johnson. Our top story tonight, 2 big launch parties happening this evening in Iowa City. That being the typical indicator that student government elections have begun.
As we speak, each campaign is setting up gatherings at Airliner Restaurant and Mondo's downtown. The 2 parties, known as the Real Party and the Beach Party, will go head-to-head to control funding for student organizations and pursue objectives on campus. The Daily Iowan will be there tonight and throughout the election.
Tomorrow night we'll introduce you to this year's candidates. Then coverage continues with the presidential and vice presidential debates. Keep it here for all coverage the way up until the April 8th election.
Iowa City is leading the state and the nation in a new way to identify immigrants. Officials in Johnson County believe they have a program that might help bridge that gap between officers and the public they serve. The program will provide ID cards to anyone in the county, regardless of immigration status. The hope is that people will be put at ease about approaching officers and fewer crimes will go unreported. The program is the first of its kind in Iowa, mirroring a similar program in New York City.
Mitch McAndrew here in the weather studio. After a bleak and rainy morning, we did manage to warm up a bit today, but boy was it windy. Our first look at the forecast shows that won't be the case for long. Early morning wind speeds reached as high as 30 miles per hour this morning. Thankfully, we eventually warmed up to almost 60 degrees, and moving onward overnight, we'll hover right around freezing. Once that sun comes up tomorrow, though, things will heat up to about 44, and it won't stop there. For afternoon, get ready for 66 degrees with sunshine to go along with it. Then lows around 50 tomorrow evening. More good news ahead, and I'll be right back with your extended forecast later.
Violence erupting this week in what has been called the spring break capital of the world. Panama City Beach, Florida, became the scene of a shooting that injured 7 young adults Friday. The college-age victims, most of whom were visiting for spring break, were found with gunshot wounds in and around a house in the early morning hours. 3 are listed in critical condition, 3 more in stable condition. The condition of the 7th is unknown at this time. This isn't the first line of violence for the city, which attracts up to 6 million spring breakers annually.
Now for an update on that tragic Germanwings crash. We're getting more answers about what may have led the pilot, Andreas Lubitz, to activate a deadly descent that killed all 150 passengers and crew members less than a week ago. 2 significant findings over the past 2 days. First, antidepressant meds found in Lubitz's apartment indicating the act was part of a suicide. And just today, officials saying that Lubitz sought treatment for vision issues prior to the crash. That's in addition to treatment for psychological issues, all of which Lubitz hid from his bosses.
A local student aiming to be her own boss is headed for big places after winning an Iowa City business model competition. The founder of Western Wise, Emily Roberts, pitched her business model to win $5,000 in funding. Her company provides one-on-one customized tutoring for kindergarten through 12th grade students in China. Roberts noticed that Chinese students are coming to the U.S. for school or work, and she wanted to ease the transition from an early age. After pitching her business model here in Iowa, she now gets the chance to compete on the international level, but this time her focus will be a little more specific.
We talked a lot about the market and why we think it's so important that we do what we do, but we really want to talk more about how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors and why Western Wise is different.
Roberts and her team will be heading to Provo, Utah come May for a chance to win $25,000. Balancing getting a degree and launching a business.
It's a unique and common challenge, but UI students lean on a specific set of resources to come out on top. Daily Iowan TV's Mitch McAndrew has the story.
They say that great achievement is born of sacrifice, and few UI students have taken that to heart as much as Mitch Larson and John Myers.
So being a full-time student, plus you have to have a part-time job to support yourselves like you were saying, and this is like a full-time job as well. it's a challenge, but you make it work because this is our passion.
The two UI juniors are part of the team that created Spectator, an app that focuses on bringing relevant high school athletics information to fans across the state. Spectator is just one of the many startups that have emerged from the UI's Entrepreneurial Center, which provides resources like experienced staff and a large network for students with big ideas.
And so our job is, since we've already been there and launched companies ourselves, is to help them get over the hurdles that they need to.
For Larson and Meyer, these resources have been especially helpful, as neither one has extensive experience with entrepreneurship or the startup mantra. Both entrepreneurs agree that their work with Spectator has helped them realize their passion for business, and neither plans to quit soon.
We have the opportunity to make this like our dream job, so might as well try now.
From the Bell Center, I'm Mitch McAndrew for Daily Iowan TV.
Now for a look at what's to come. Mitch is back with your extended forecast.
Mitch?
Thanks, guys. I'm sure you're happy to hear this week will finally feel like spring again. Although winds will remain fairly strong, hovering around the 15-mile-an-hour mark, temperatures are due to stay around 70, that's right, 70, for most of the week. Wednesday, despite some partial cloud coverage and a spot of rain, will reach 75. Then Thursday will give us mid-60s and rain for most of the day. For your weekend, Friday and Saturday round out in the mid to upper 60s.
All right, well, now that winter weather is coming to an end, I took a trip to Iowa City's animal shelter to find out how that affects pet adoption. I also got to spend time with some pretty cute animals. Check it out. It's getting to be adoption season again at the Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center as spring approaches. The center houses domestic animals such as dogs, cats, rabbits, and other small creatures that have been rescued or brought to them. The shelter supervisor, Liz Ford, says that as different seasons come, the numbers and animals they have at the center changes as well.
We do see a little bit of an increase of adoptions in the fall and in the spring. And that's perfect because that's usually when our numbers are up high too.
With more animals coming into the center, it gives people a big variety of pets to choose from when they come to adopt. Ford says that they see an increase in adoptions in the spring when people can get outside with their animals, which comes after a lull in adoptions in the cold winter months.
In the fall, the population is still really ramping up and right up into the holidays. And then after the holidays, a lot of people have taken home an animal to be around, for the holidays. And I think that's the time of year when people are feeling a little more generous too, and they want to, rescue and stuff like that. And then in January and February, it tends to be a little slower for intake. And so that's a good time of year for us to gear up for the oncoming season.
Ford says that to prepare for more people adopting, they begin to market the animals, encourage the community to come visit the shelter, and make sure the animals they do have are ready to be adopted. Reporting from the Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center, Katie Sextro, Daily Iowan TV. If you're interested in adopting an animal, you can browse their furry friends on the center's website. Okay, I just wanted to take one of them so bad.
That made me really miss my dog.
I know.
Well, along with that animal-friendly warm weather comes Hawkeye athletics.
Spring sports have to be happy to be outside. Taylor Brooks and Danny Payne are standing by in the sports studio to tell us which sports are taking advantage of the weather. Guys?
Thanks, Cole and Katie. And as Mitch mentioned earlier, it's going to be 70 degrees all week, and softball's at home all week. It'd be perfect weather.
Sounds like a great porch sitting atmosphere outside.
Definitely. Even with the weather looking to be nice to finally start some spring sports action, one winter sport fell short of continuing their search this past Friday night.
The Iowa women's basketball team was knocked out of the NCAA tournament by number 6 Baylor.
It was a game of blood, sweat, and tears, and more blood than usual. Senior Bethany Doolittle missed the last 4.5 minutes of regulation due to a broken nose.
The senior still led the team with 16 points and 7 rebounds. Another senior dominating her last collegiate basketball game was Sam Logic.
The point guard managed to snag a triple-double, having 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists. The senior leadership continued with Melissa Dixon, who contributed 10 points, going 2 for 10 from the three-point range.
Baylor defeated the Hawkeyes 81-66. This will be Baylor's 5th time in the last 6 seasons that they have advanced to the Elite 8.
Now we take it from the inside to the outside, where the Iowa baseball team played host to number 19 Indiana for their Big Ten opener.
The 3-game series began Friday night, where the Hawkeyes started out on the right foot, shutting out the Hoosiers 2-0.
But it was Saturday that really got the Hawkeyes going when starting pitcher Blake Hickman posted his best game so far this season.
The juniors silenced Indiana, allowing them only 1 run while striking out 6 batters and allowing 3 hits.
With the 5-1 victory from Saturday, that led the Hawkeyes to clinch the series 2-0 but they still weren't quite finished.
The Hawkeyes finished this sweep earlier this afternoon of the Hoosiers. The 10-6 victory went to Calvin Matthews, who let up 6 runs in 1 inning, but after that he shut out Indiana to give the Hawkeyes their 17th victory of the season.
Daily Iowan TV sports reporter Austin Luce will have that recap right here on Monday's show.
Now, Taylor, swimmers took over Iowa City this past weekend for the NCAA Men's Swimming and Diving Championship.
For Hawkeye fans, it was a disappointment a little bit, but for others around the U.S., it was a story of record-breaking swimming and national champions.
Jordan Maloney has the recap. Jordan?
The Campus Recreation and Wellness Center was taken over this weekend as the University of Iowa hosted the NCAA Men's Swimming and Diving Championships. Orange, red, and blue took over our black and gold campus as visitors from all corners of the nation brought their school colors to Iowa City. While fans flocked to cheer on their teams, crowds and fan gear filled Iowa City. But the competition in the pool proved to be well worth their travels, as 3 American records and 2 NCAA records were set in the 3-day competitions. The Hawkeyes did not make the splash that they had hoped for in the national championships. While playing host was a great honor for the University of Iowa, the team did not have any qualifications for the finals competitions.
We want to be on top. I mean, there's no question about it. I came here not to be good. We want to be great. We have the Hawkeye fight about us, and we want to do it the right way. So this is a great step in the right direction for us as a team.
The University of Texas took an early lead in the 3-day competition, ultimately racing away with a 528-point victory, recording their 11th national title under head coach Eddie Reese.
He'll kick our butts at practice every day, but he's so much more than that. And I mean, to give him another one is really special for all of us, just being able to swim under a name like Eddie Reese.
As the championships came to a close, the men's swimming and diving season ends here in the Campus Recreation and Wellness Center. I'm Jordan Maloney with DITV Sports.
It was definitely a bummer for Iowa, but that atmosphere seems to be a fun one.
I was there on Thursday. It was great. Unfortunately, that'll do it for us here in the sports studio, but stay tuned to Daily Iowan TV every Sunday through Thursday.
We have plenty of action for later on this week, including going back to Iowa baseball pitcher Blake Hickman, where we find out what he is all about. Katie Cole, back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Here's a look at the headlines you'll find in tomorrow's edition of the Daily Iowan. Your first look at the 2 different platforms hitting campus for student government. Elections 2015. New guidelines are shaking up how food trucks operate in downtown Iowa City, and Iowa City's notorious tree sweaters get shed for springtime. Pick up a copy on your way to campus and tune in for more on tomorrow night's edition of Daily Iowan TV.
And before we leave you tonight, Iowa City's favorite local celebrity is stepping out in his true colors, and it's all for a good cause. That's right, Ashton Kutcher took to Twitter on Friday to pledge his support one of the viral sensation deemed Bubble Boy, the British 5-year-old born with no immune system. Many celebrities jumped on board, but Kutcher couldn't sign off without pledging his support to another one of his loves. Check it out.
Hey, Seth, I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you today, buddy. I got your back. All yellow. It's also Iowa Hawkeye colors, so it works for me.
Actually, Ashton, it's gold, not yellow.
But it's Ashton Kutcher, so I think we can forgive him.
I guess so.
That's all for tonight's edition of Daily Iowan TV News.
Tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, or you can find us anytime on YouTube. Just search Daily Iowan TV. Make it a great night.
Are you worried about how you're going to find out about the latest news in Iowa City and the University of Iowa? Well, look no further. You can download the Daily Iowan mobile app on your iPhone for the area's best news coverage. And you can also read and watch us on your iPad. You can always find current and past Daily Iowan stories at dailyiowan.com. The Daily Iowan is now on TV, online, and in your pocket. If it happens, it's news to us.
Iowa SJMC.
Want a major that'll take you somewhere?
I joined and now I'm in Los Angeles, California, interning for Conan O'Brien at Warner Brothers Studios.
I joined and now I'm working in public relations for diabetes research.